Namaste and welcome to the Festival Bharat talk show. I am Payal, your host today. Today, we will be delving into a world of the Indian classical dance. And we will be in particularly talking about the upcoming festival called the Feet on Earth. So to talk us through this, we have our very own Pujita Krishna ji. So my first question is regarding Kuchipudi, because actually I don't know much about it. I'm sure many people in the audience don't. I know Kathak, so maybe you can give a little difference between the differences between Kathak and Kuchipudi to us today. First.
Sure, Pailji. Well, just to give you a quick overview of, we have several classical forms in the country, in India, in Bharat. And one of these classical forms is Kuchipudi. So you have Kathak, for example, like you mentioned, which hails from the north of India. And the origins are, date back to way back in the past. And Kathak is a very straight form. You know the hands are here, and the mudra is very soft. And whereas and then there's a lot of very the wrist movement is very prominent in Kathak, and there's a lot of chakkars. Chakkars are twirls, and of course a lot of rhythmic footwork, which is of course a very important aspect of all Indian classical forms, where a lot of importance is given to the footwork, which means rhythm. So equal importance is given to rhythm as well as the melody, and what we call sahitya, which is the lyric. So there are three components which run like a interwoven fabric, and that's basically kind of trying to. I'm just going to give you like a very very basic definition of Indian classical forms. With variations, you find elements of these in different forms. So Kathak, like I said, is a very straight form. There is no bending of knees. The knees are straight. The hands are placed in such a manner, and then there is a lot of wrist movement, very graceful, and a lot of chakkars and things like that. Whereas if you come down south, you have forms which are like Kuchipudi is a form which hails from the region that I'm from. I'm a Telugu speaking person, and so all of Telugu land, the Andhra, for example, most prominently, is where Kuchipudi hails from. It's where it's from. So Kuchipudi, Bharatnatyam, there's another form called Vilasini Natyam, which also I've learned. Then Mohiniyattam. They have a very, it's a very grounded form. The dancers start with the basic technique of sitting in what is called the Aramandi, which is half your height. So you have to do what is in ballet terms would be a plie. You open your feet and you go down, you bend your knees. That is essentially the basic stance for these forms, unlike Kathak, which is straight. So that's basically it. And Odissi too is something similar. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
It's all new to me. I just know Kathak as one of my favorite forms, but I look forward to seeing something live next time I'm in India for sure.
Awesome.
Let's now move on to the festival and itself. So tell us about this festival. See, the name itself says a lot, the Feet on Earth. So would you like to just explain in short what it's about?
Sure, Pailji. So the Feet on Earth Festival is scheduled to take place the following weekend, which is the 22nd and 23rd of October, coinciding with the Diwali festivities of, it's a big festival in Bharat. So, so that's when it's happening. And so the dance space that I run or I founded is called the Feet on Earth. I started it about 10, 11 years ago. It's been a decade, a little over a decade. And of course, we started with teaching dance and things like that, but we've moved on to other areas like academic research, and it's primarily me, but I also try through the banner of Feet on Earth, organize workshops and leg dems. And now this is the first time that we're organizing a festival, which is a 2-day event. and basically what we're doing is inviting. I'm not only performing, but I'm also inviting other artists to perform at the festival. So that's basically what it is.
Mm. So who are the other artists joining you in the festival?
Yes, I'm very happy to say that we've, on a very first year, we've got Sharmila Biswas ji, who is very senior Odissi dancer from Kolkata. And she is known for her contribution to Odissi form, not just in the traditional format, but she's done a lot of work, innovating with the form itself, bringing in different elements to it. So kind of traditional, but also moving away a little bit from the tradition in innovating within the format. So I'm very happy to have her. She's presenting us. She's coming. She's performing a solo performance, but she's presenting two of her newest works. So we're excited about that. We also have that's the main event on the 22nd, and on the 23rd, one of the main events is a yakshagana, which is more of a traditional theatrical form from Karnataka, which is again another state in the south. And this troupe is it's a troupe of hereditary performers. So in India, we have many forms which are when I say hereditary, I mean that the form is passed on from one generation to another. It's within the family, so they're family of performers, and it's a theatrical form. It's extremely elaborate. There's a lot of elaborate makeup and involves a very sophisticated way of of a form of storytelling, which includes music, singing, and expressiveness and some movement. So Yakshagana on the 23rd. Apart from this, of course, I'm opening the festival on the 22nd with Kuchipudi, and we have other artists from Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Vishakhapatnam presenting different forms, mainly Kuchipudi, and then we have two ladies who are presenting physical theater, which is bringing theater and movement in a modern context. So that's basically what's happening.
So why did you decide to do this festival? What's the main reason, the heart behind doing it?
Um, I well, I mean, as an artist, first thing is, for the last 2 years, it's been pretty much. We've all been languishing, the artists. I think the world over, everybody's been languishing in a state of, inertia, inactivity, and also kind of there's been a lot of life's been thrown out of gear, especially for artists who obviously that's if you look at things which are priority for people in the world, art features right at the bottom of the list. So when the economy, when there's a pandemic going on, people are dying, nobody's really concerned about the arts. It's not a matter of concern. So after 2.5 odd years, I think the artist community, I felt that there should definitely be some sort of rejuvenation. The whole, it's a small community, people who love the arts, it's already a very small community. So, to ensure that it doesn't die completely, I think it's important that we keep organizing these things. And in India, we have, I think it's the scenario the world over. Because I did my master's in the US, I did study the arts in the US, and I know that it is difficult for artists across the globe. It's not just in India. Getting resources, getting funding, getting support. It's not easy. So we kind of depend on the generosity of family, friends. I'm happy to mention here that one of our very somebody I know, he's a locally Hyderabad-based person, friend of mine, acquaintance really. And when he came to know that one Mr. Uday Vagreji, he lives in Hyderabad. When he came to know that I was doing this, he very kindly offered his assistance and support, and so this is one of the byproducts of such processes, when people sit up and realize and they say, hey, what, I would like to help you out. Maybe next year we can do something bigger. Why don't I start a foundation where we can do something like this in a bigger way. So that's the reason. The reason is to make people kind of sit up, shake off their inertia. Second, recognize that this is important. This is an important space that we can't afford to neglect.
Mm. I'm just so glad that you said this because, I think a lot of people were in fear. I love going to in-person concerts, and when the pandemic hit, the online YouTube, Zoom just did not hit the spot for me. And
Right.
and of course, a lot of people are still doing a lot of online concerts. And of course, it is down to maybe now realizing it's a more reasonable way of doing it in terms of, getting the funding is less of that. But I think the effort is definitely worth it. So that's I'm just really happy to hear that, people are making this behind the scenes. This is happening. On the same, like, you called it the feet on earth. Do you want to explain why that name?
I'm happy you asked me that. A lot of people do actually because they're curious. In Bharat, we have all dance, schools or spaces are called Nartana something or Natya something, or around the words Natya and Nartana and Nritta. I chose a completely. I'm using, of course, I'm using English words, but at the time it seemed appropriate because I. Well, I've always been a person who's been very conscious of I would say ecologically conscious. I've always been very conscious of the environment and other allied concerns. So I've always been programmed in that way. So for me, I feel that the arts, especially the Bharatiya arts and especially Indian classical forms, they have an already very they are programmed in such a way that they already recognize the importance of these things, because if for example the Indian dance is so grounded. The very form, like I described, is it's like giving into the earth. The contact between the earth and the feet is very, very important for the Indian dancer. Whereas if you look at ballet, it's about the jumps and the leaps, and it's away from the gravity. Whereas for us, we give in to the, yes, it's more giving in rather than in opposition. So that's one thing, that connect between the artist, her feet, and her and the earth is, even if you look at the footwork, there's a lot of sound that comes, and when we do our footwork, that sound is extremely important because we're playing out the rhythms of the cymbals and the percussion with our feet. So that's one. And second is, of course, the idea that you are doing it on Bhudevi, which is Mother Earth. So even when, like, you just, as an obeisance, all Indian classical dancers, whether they're Kathak dancers or folk artists, everyone will touch the ground before they start performing. This is obligatory. You will not find a single Indian dancer who will not take permission of Bhudevi before starting his or her performance. So this very, what shall I call it, a very intimate relationship between a dancer and the earth. I just felt that the word feet on earth just sort of, the name just sort of fell into place.
I love it. I think it's perfect, and it really does make sense for Indian classical dance for sure. Because it is, I realize as an audience member, I'm always focused on the feet. Actually, I'm always watching the dancers' feet as one of the main
True.
aspects. So yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
I just want everyone who's watching this, because I'm glad we're doing this talk before the show, so that yes, I would like people. Of course, this is going to be geographically impossible for people who are not in Hyderabad, but for those who are watching and are in Hyderabad, I would like them to come and watch the show, because it's completely free. It's open to all. We wanted to do the first year, gratis, as a not ticketed, the first year at least, to sort of test the ground and see how it is. So it's not ticketed, it's free. Please spread the word. That's what I would like to say. And I wanted to thank, through this talk, through this medium, thank all the people, especially my family and friends, and people like Uday Vagreji, who have been very kind in lending their assistance and support. So that's all I want to say. And please do come. It's on the 22nd and 23rd of October, the coming weekend, at the Salarjung Museum, the auditorium of the Salarjung Museum. It starts at 6:30 p.m. So, and that's about it. And please follow Feet on Earth on Instagram. And my handle on Twitter is Pujita Krishna Pujita. And I think that's about it. That's my sales pitch for today.
Well, thank you, Pujitaji. I think all the best. You know, I can see that your intentions are pure, and I'm sure it's going to be a success. And I'm hoping I'll get a little chance to watch someone recording. So, although it won't be the same experience, but I'm looking forward to that. So,
We
thank
do
you.
intend to, yes, I'm sorry. We do
Yeah,
intend to record it and eventually put it up on our YouTube channel. So yes, we will be doing
look
that.
forward to that. Okay, thank you. Thank you to the audience, and do not forget to subscribe to Citti Media.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Citti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.